We're learning Perek Hey, Halacha Yud, Hilchos Yesodei HaTorah. Koloi v'midaita v'loi oinus halachas v'kol mitzvos ha'amos b'Torah. The Rambam says anyone who does transgress without being forced to do so on one of the commandments of the Torah will go down to the Peirush in this Halacha, where the Rambam is telling us the forbiddenness of Chilul Hashem. If you do an Aveira without any benefit, only to Chas v'Sholom cause anger and rebelliousness. Anyone who transgresses out of his own thoughts without any forbiddenness, and any one of the commandments that are found in the Torah, b'sha'at b'nefesh, l'hachis, without any care at all, and just to do it rebelliously, he is transgressing the Shem Hashem. As we find the Sefer HaMitzvahs, that this is a mitzvah loisesa shaloi lechal l'Shem Hashem. There's a mitzvah, a negative transgression, that one is not permitted to desecrate the name of the holy name. As it says in the pasuk in Vayikra, and you shall not desecrate my holy name. And this negative commandment takes in all the sins that are done as rebelliously, and by removing the yoke of heaven from one's self. Mekevas Mishnah gives the source of the words of the Rambam from Yosef, that he separated himself from the wife of Potiphar, who tried to seduce him. And he said in the Soita that he sanctified the name of Hashem in a hidden fashion. And from here we learn that somebody who transgresses or desecrates the name of Hashem without benefit and only to rebel is desecrates the name of Hashem. And as we go on, the Halacha will see this. Another point that has to be added is if a person who is known for his good saintliness does something that looks by the people like a sin, even though it's permitted, it's Chilul Hashem. This part we'll find in the next Halacha. And the Rambam continues, therefore, by a oath of falsehood, it says, and you shall desecrate the name of Hashem, I am your Lord the God. That since you have no benefit, and still you swear falsely, is a Chilul Hashem. This basis, this foundation is found also in Sefer HaMitzvahs. The Hilchos Chinuch writes in Mitzvah Gimel, that every Aveira that a person does without any benefit is considered he's rebelling. And if that's the case, except for the sin itself, there's an additional sin associated with it, which is desecration of the name of God. Here the Rambam does not say that one gets lashes on the negative commandment of that you transgress the denigrating God's name. We find in the reckoning of the negative commandments that you do get malchus. He doesn't mention the Chilul Hashem, desecration of God's name. But in Sefer HaMitzvahs, the Rambam writes that somebody who does a sin without craving, but rather because one is rebelling, he is considered as having desecrated the holy name, and he would get lashes. The Chinuch writes in the name of the Rambam that if you do it to be contra, then you would get lashes. In the Hilchos Chinuch questions, the Rambam doesn't write that he gets lashes, but the truth is that the Chinuch wrote it in the name of the Sefer HaMitzvahs. And the Hilchos Chinuch is talking about in Halachas. In Halachas, he does write that you do receive lashes. Furthermore, the Chinuch writes it's a new idea that a person should get twice lashes on swearing falsely. Once for swearing falsely, once for desecrating God's name. And every Aveira that has with Chilul Hashem, you should get twice lashes. The Rambam continues, if he did so in front of 10 Jews, this is called desecrating the holy name in public. But if it's not before 10 Jews, he desecrates the name of Hashem in private. The concepts of Chilul Hashem in public or in private we learned earlier. Halacha Dalet, as I'll say, everyone who transgresses the holy name in private, they is ultimately punished in public. So this is Yontif questions: how can you desecrate the holy name privately? Chilul Hashem is when others see him and they learn from his actions. And the answer is, according to Rabbeinu Yoina, Chilul Shem Shemayim B'Seisa is two ways: either through idol worship and by not serving Hashem, or if you swear falsely in the name of Hashem, and that's using the holy name, therefore you have desecrated the name of Hashem. The Maggid of asked the same question that the Peirush Yontif asked. He explains that the Creator fills the entire world, and there's no place empty of Him, and He gives you the strength even to do the sin. And if a person thinks so, he certainly would not sin. But when he sins, he wants to hide that from the seeing eye of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, of God. As he says, who sees it, who knows? And therefore, it's as if he pushes away the holy presence from that place. And he says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, don't give me a moment to sin. And if he thinks so, but there's nothing empty even then, that person thinks that I hid myself, and that's chiluloi, that's desecration, that he's causing a break in the fact that people see through him the God's presence in the world. And therefore, it says, you desecrate the name of heaven, meaning you cause a halal, emptiness, as if it's empty of God's being. And this is the way they explain the posting of Vayikro Noikev Shem Hashem, that he thinks that he can make a hole in the presence and the watchful eye of Hashem. With this we find in Rabbi Chaim Voloshin, who was a Talmud of the Gro, he says the Mishnah Echad Shoygeg V'Echad Meizid B'Chilul Hashem. He explains the Mishnah in Perkei Oves that there's no difference between whether somebody does it unintentionally or he does it intentionally when it comes to Chilul Hashem. From now, the Rambam explains us the opposite. He continues. The Rambam continues with Kiddush Hashem. If he was killed and he didn't transgress, he was Mekadosh Shemo Yisbarach. Somebody who separates himself from his sin, or he does a mitzvah, or he also mitzvah, he does a mitzvah, not because he benefits from it, not from fear, nor from worry, not to get honor, and only because of the Creator. Blessed is he, just like Yosef withheld himself. Yosef HaTzadik withheld himself from the wife of his master. Here he sanctifies God's name. He didn't do it because he was afraid, because she wouldn't have told her husband, because the HaKadosh Baruch Hu said it's forbidden. The Gemara says, in the merit that he sanctified God's name in hiddenness, he merited that they added one of God's letters to his name, as it says in Tillim, Eidos v'Yosef Somoy. Now, the word Yosef is written with a hey there. And Rashi explains that even though he was closeted with her, he controlled himself, and he overcame his temptation. So you see in the Gemara that Yosef is considered Mekadosh Shem Shemayim as sanctifying the holy name, even though that the action that he did was hidden. The Pri Chodosh gives a different source to the Rambam, that he explains, if you separate yourself from Avera because of the desire of Hashem, it's considered as if you sanctified God's name, because in Kedushin 39b it says, if somebody sits and does not do an Avera, you give him merit reward as if he did the mitzvah, meaning that something he could have transgressed and he saved himself. The Pri Chodesh learns that the reward is that he sanctified Hashem's name by separating himself from sin. And from here we see It's somebody who separates himself from sin, sanctifies God's name. The arbitrary Evan questions the Peirush, why does he learn that the Rambam learned to some Kedushin when he writes his proof from Yosef HaTzadik? The Marach Balafia on the Rambam questions, Yosef did not cease from doing the Aveira because of Hashem, because he saw his father's presence in front of him, and therefore he fled. And his father's presence told him, your brothers are going to be written in the Ephod. Your brothers are going to be written in the Ephod, and your name will be erased. And the answers there are two thoughts why he went into the house. Or he went in to do his work, and she accosted him, or he went in to be with her and sin. But it says in the Gemara that his father came to him, that's only according to the opinion that he wanted to do the sin. Therefore he stopped because of the honor of his father. But according to the second one, that he went in to do his work, this is not considered Aveira. He didn't do any Aveira, and therefore he did it because of God's commandments and not because of his own personal glory. And therefore, it's a proof to the Rambam that this accords to the idea that he was rewarded with the fact that everyone knew of his Kiddush Hashem. And even though that the test of Yosef was with immorality, that the law is one of the three things that a person has to permit himself to be killed and not transgress. And the Rambam writes that every sin that you do because of any sin, not only immorality, the Rambam didn't make a differentiation because it's simple and understood that Yosef HaTzadik was not concerned that she would kill him. Therefore, every sin a person refrains himself is considered sanctifying God's name. But it comes out from the Rambam. Every Jew can sanctify God's name without causing himself to be killed, only while he's alive. When he keeps the mitzvahs Hashem and the positive and negative commandments, only because this is the way that HaKadosh Baruch Hu commanded it to be.